chic. We gave them some resistance, and then they took the boys. These children born in paradise, but raised in holy hell. And now they're running for the ocean. Pretty boy rock, to the 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 pretty boy rock. And find your way, find your way. I think you can find your way. Yes, you will. Yes, you will find your way. No, you've been wandering. No, you've been searching. But find your way. Been out here so long, and it's so cold. But find your way. Find your way. Hey, hey, hey. We about to get it. It's the rhetorical sake. Episode 21. Black Surfer. Shit, I'm about to lose my voice fucking around with y'all doing this. This is awesome. And as mentioned, today's episode is all about being a black African-American surfer. I gotta say, surfing has become an essential part of my new lease on life. And that lease on life is renewed every day. Just like the waves and the current and the ocean, it's different every day. It's new every day. Something someone told me in college, a fraternity brother, he said, if you look at the ocean and you think about what color it is, go back and look at it the next day, and you'll find that it's never the same color. And I've said this before, the day I graduated from college, the first in my family to do so with a bachelor's, and one of the first African Americans to do so with this particular degree in rhetoric and leadership from Pepperdine University. The ocean was such an emerald green that day. I'll never forget it. And I've never seen anything like it, and I've never seen anything like it after that. It was so green. It was so bold. It was so consistent in color throughout the whole bay, from Santa Monica up to Ventura, up to Oxnard. Like, it was just horizon to shore, emerald green, and it was beautiful. It was absolutely awesome. That's my favorite color, hunter green. Go figure. But there's something about going out there, learning how to surf, and breaking into this culture that is a whole nother world. I mean, the ocean in itself, water, is stereotyped as black people's weakness. So where did that leave me? Being born in the world, born with brown eyes that turned into green somehow, very fair skin, but this coarse, nappy hair. And I spent a lot of summers and winter months in the Virgin Islands. My grandparents lived down there, and it wasn't very luxurious, but that was home. That was home away from home. It was what I became to know. I was treated like a local. I would go to summer camp with the locals, and summer camp consisted of sitting in a room all day and watching Powder on VHS every day. The break was the lunches that arrived on these styrofoam food trays. And that was the highlight of my day. Oh, and milk in plastic bags. Never seen that again, but never saw it before. Milk in like these air-sealed Ziploc bags. It was awesome. But every Friday, they take us to the beach, and the beach they would take us to was like pretty much like a locals-only beach, and it was right down the street from my grandparents' house, so it was convenient to get picked up from there. But I remember there was like two groups of kids playing in the water, and I swam out past them because like sometimes I would just float on my back and like I would open my eyes and I was like way offshore. Like my grandma was like a little dot, and I had to realize don't panic, just swim back. So being out in open water didn't scare me. It didn't intimidate me. As I got older, my anxiety and my awareness and dangers and things like that, understanding statistics and just the likelihood of something dangerous happening, not necessarily a shark, but a wave or a spinal injury, anything could happen out there. And so it pays to be prepared. But I remember I was in between both of those, just doing my own thing, and this kid comes up to me, and he's doing the thing where you jump from the bottom of the seafloor because the water is so deep it would be like over his head. He's like, "Why are you playing in this ocean?" And I was like, "What are you talking about?" He was like, "There's that ocean and that ocean." He's like, "But you play in this ocean." And I was like, "I don't know. I just don't want to be a part of the crowds. I don't know." And I've always kind of been like that. But being African American male and taking surfing as an elective in college and catching my first wave at age, what, 20, 21, in Zuma Beach, Malibu, California, was awesome. And I took surfing multiple semesters to fill, some empty units, and why not? And going to class with sand between your toes ain't too bad. But the struggle I faced mentally, uh, just to get to that point, almost seemed insurmountable. The fear, the intimidation. However, I have always pressed, gone against the grain in regards to what people might call my blackness. Um, I'm I've been called a sellout. That's been tossed around. Carlton from the Fresh Prince of Bel Air, and it used to hurt. It used to hurt, but you know what? It paid. It paid. And I grew up with my family, my black family, calling me white boy. Unfortunately, I think that ingrained this idea that I needed to be something other than what I was. And that was emboldened by being queer and being told again not to be a sissy. And if people keep telling you don't be a sissy, you don't act black, you start to believe what other people are saying. But I'm so grateful today that I'm not too worried about what other people are saying. The only thing I'm concerned about is what I'm saying to myself. Hopefully, the little jolts of inspiration, the little flashes of enlightenment that I am getting, I refer to those as God or my higher power. And it's not like I hear an audible voice, but so many things just kind of fall into place when you quiet your mind, you still your mind, you open yourself up to possibilities. And I notice with me, I'll start a narrative about a situation or issue or a problem in my head, or let's say to have a drink. And like right now, I'm supposed to be, I want to get at least a year of no drinking. Personally, I could give a fucking rat's ass what anybody else wants from me in regards to my sobriety. But what I want to do for myself is to get a solid 365 days, not only for the chemical change and the hormonal balancing, but the spiritual aspect, the physicality, the spiritual, the mental. It's all cyclical, it's very holistic, and it gets trying because the carnal, the body, the limbic system, it's craving for some relief. I'm a little stressed out these days. It's a busy season with the job, with the launching a company, being an entrepreneur. I'm having to think differently. I'm having to budget my money differently. I'm having to plan accordingly. How do you plan when you don't know what comes next? That that was a big challenge. Walking out to the ocean with a surfboard, putting on a wetsuit for the first time, being humble enough to let someone know, hey, I don't know what I'm doing, and I'm here, and I feel a little stupid, a little silly, but I've always wanted to do this. So, I've always wanted to be my authentic self, and this last week has been particularly challenging because I really don't want to feel what I'm going through these days. I don't want to be I don't want it to happen right now. And I think that's normal unfortunately for me in particular, what I've learned is that trauma is manifested in the body. And so when I feel emotional pain, my emotional pain is amplified in physical, chronic physical pain, as well as the mental trauma. So my muscles have kind of absorbed the impact of past trauma. And that's on many different levels. So it only takes one micro trauma, micro drama, micro transgression to trigger and cause a reflex, a ripple effect in my endocrine system, in my alert system, in my adrenaline, in my cortisol, in my brain. And now my prefrontal cortex is thinking and the gears are moving and things are I'm writing a script in my head on how things are going to play out. What if I do this? What if I do that? So I get off work today and I really want to drink. I really want to have some red wine. And I'll be honest, I'm taking a break from the series finale of The Affair right now because I get emotionally invested with shows that I love. And I don't think I had had a show like this since Lost. Lost, The Affair, ER. Grey's was there for me, but Grey's is such a, it just reminds me like what season I'm in. Okay, I'm either in the spring or I'm in the fall. Like, is it pilot season yet? I don't know. Are they going to get a back nine and Grey's is just like on in the background, you know? But you got to support, Shonda Rhimes doing the damn thing. So, speaking of being a black surfer, huh? She's riding the wave. She's riding the wave, but she was prepared and she's got mini surfboards. Wow, that's cool. So, the words are the same, but the pain is different. I say that I want a year, I don't want to drink today, but the pain of not drinking is different. And you hear it come out of people's mouths, oh, I have a year or two sober, or I haven't done drugs in this amount of time, or several years, decades. But the pain of where I'm at right now, it's like you might have lost your dad, but you didn't lose my dad. I lost my dad on September 21st, 2015. Things tend to sting differently, even though it could be from the same knife type thing. You know what I'm saying? So I'm just hurting right now, I thought. But I'm driving and I'm really debating on just have some wine. Just get some red wine. I lived in Italy. Like, I could drink. I deserve it. Let's do this. It's not going to be the end of the world. And if anything, it really just gets bad after a couple of months. Like, I'm really good for a month or two. But then I could go down the slippery slope where things will come up, or I'll get stressed out, or the back pain will go, or like I just make excuses to get fucked up. And we do that. I'm not ashamed to say it. What do you do on Friday nights when you're out drinking? I never understood that. Like, people that go out to drink but don't get fucked up. Like, it just does not, it will never land on me. So why would I go out and just get a buzz? And I'm not saying to get fucked up and do illegal shit or hurt people. Like, there's just a plane that my body likes to get to when consuming alcohol. And that plane likes to stay in motion, like the third law of physics, the body in motion stays in motion, or whatever. And it's a tough snowball to stop rolling down the hill for me, and no one else can do it but me. And if my inhibition is so low that I actually use alcohol to escape my problems, then I never had control in the first place. If you use alcohol to escape your problems, if you use weed to escape your problems, then you never had control in the first place. There is an escapist aspect with it all. There's an escapist aspect when we're talking to each other. So what I couldn't do today was escape, and that's what I wanted to do. but I also want to practice faith. I want to learn what it is to be strong in my sobriety. I want to learn what it's like to grow my spirit, because I've been doing a lot of this working out. I've been manipulating the body. I've been changing the chemistry, but what has my spirit been exercising? And now I'm starting to feel some resistance, and now it's starting to burn, and here's the pain. So I go to the dispensary, and I hit up this dispensary because the prices are as listed. And so I was just going to get a couple of pre rolls. And then usually about once a month, I get a gram of CBD 1-to-1 with THC vape cartridge. And these aren't no street vapes. Like, I just like the concentrate. It's discreet, and it's primarily CBD. So I'm getting a lot of relief from my chronic pain, a lot of relief from my anxiety, a lot of relief from PTSD, things like that. And also that THC pair with the CBD, that CBD actually laces the THC absorption, so you don't get that rush and that extreme paranoia, that blitz. It actually levels out the high, if at all. So, some people are like, oh, well, you're not sober if you're smoking weed. Well, you wouldn't be sober either if your neck and fucking back felt like mine. So, I don't know. It's like, to each their own. But I know for me, weed has never brought me to my knees. Alcohol, unfortunately, has landed me homeless, broke, destitute, and damn near crazy. So, y'all go do the math. But I'm good, and me and my God are good with it. So, there you are. You and I, we can't ever ride the same wave the exact same way. That's the truth about surfing. We might be riding the same wave, but there's no way, unless in another universe, in this one right here, in this moment, the only one that's being offered to me right now, this experience, this matrix, there's no way we could ride the same wave the same way. I could imitate you, but I can't duplicate you. I don't even, your clone couldn't even ride the same wave the exact same way. It's impossible. So there's something about it being my life and your life. And so when I'm leaving work and I'm really feeling like drinking, I make it to the dispensary, because if I do that and I get a little buzz, I get a little stone, then I'm so kind of in my head, I don't need to drink. And weed actually lifts the veil of the truth to me, and it reveals a different perspective. It changes the narrative. And so it offers me a way out rather than getting drunk, of actually relaxing and chilling out and stopping the compulsive negative thinking, the racing thoughts. And we all know weed is a big part of surfing. So there you go. When I get there, there's a promo going on. And the young lady is with the same company that makes my favorite CBD cartridge. And they're called Platinum. I'll go grab it. I'll post it in my show notes, the exact brand. And they're doing a get a gram, and then you get one for 60. Or no, you get 1 gram for 60, and then you get one for $1, half gram for $1. So that's like 2 months worth for the price of one. 101% pretty much. That was such a relief. And then I really, budget wise, my spending budget, my petty cash, I exhausted it. I had it all set aside for this weekend. I had like $80 left, and I just spent it on the CBD, and I'm cool with that. And I got in my car and I realized, God, you made a way out. Now I don't even have the money I would have spent on the alcohol, and I have invested in my future. And it's just like, just because I asked. And so I think that the more I open myself up, the more I give myself a chance, my spirit life a chance to do something cool, the more likely it is it's going to happen. It just takes a little gumption. And it takes gumption to be a man of color on a beach. It takes gumption to paddle out in Newport Beach, in Orange County, in San Diego, in Oceanside, in Fiji. It takes gumption. It takes a little, I wouldn't even say insanity or craziness, because insanity would be doing the same thing, expecting different results. But now I'm doing something totally different. I'm breaking generational curses. I am breaking generational stereotypes. I am not your archetype surfer. There's a beauty to it, but there's also a distinct ugliness to it. There's an distinct juxtaposition. And it's funny how even color would matter when everybody's wearing wetsuits. But it's really not about what happens in the water. It's about what happens on land. It's about my car being safe while I'm in the water. It's about my car keys being safe while I'm in the water. It's about who might be waiting for me when I get back. Because I've seen some nasty fights at the beach. I've seen some locals get pretty brutal and violent just because they didn't like some people, just because they didn't like that they were at their beach. And so there is that territorial aspect. But, you know, you got these like national parks and the ocean, and it's like, that's no man's land. You can't claim that. You can't claim the water. And yet we do. So surfing really takes total cooperation. It could be nonverbal, but it definitely takes unity and flow. Ultimately, what I heard and what I got from the experience today and just trying to practice faith was, I got you. I got you, baby. That's what I feel like God is telling me, because I tried, you know, to ride the wave of sobriety, of not drinking. And it worked. At least, you know, that moment. And feelings pass. Turns out I was just hungry. And I know a lot of my cravings have to do with hunger. And intermittent fasting doesn't help. But knowing that something out there's got me, that if I manifest that positive idea that this is going to work out, I just have to hold on. It's like life's telling me, I got you. It's that I got you factor. And I'm grateful for that. I'm sure you're enjoying today's episode. And if you are, go ahead and let me know. Hit me up. I'm at www.erhunter.live. That's erhunter.live. You can email me at erth@erhunter.live. I'm so excited about my book, God Sent Dog, how one dog led a man to sobriety. That man's me, and the dog, his name's Irie. He's pretty damn cool. It's available on Amazon and Kindle. Go ahead and pick up your copy today, along with Chasing God Alcoholically. I'm so grateful for where life has brought me, authoring books, producing the podcast, raising my pup. Life is so good, but I couldn't do it without each and every one of you. There is so much more on the way. We have interview after interview lined up, and I'm just excited to bring you guys some content that'll flourish, help you thrive, help you be the best you, because there's no one else like you. So I need you. Black Surfer, episode 21. Let's get right back in it. But before we do, don't forget, Patreon.com, Patreon.com/ERHunter. $1 goes a long way. Extra resources to help the organization that produces this show, Earth. We'd really appreciate your support. So hey, that's my little 2 cents for today. And let's jump right back in it. Let's dive right in to this ocean of just life experience. I love this. I hope you do too. Thank you for joining me. Drop me a line. Subscribe, rate, review the show. Here we go. There's something to living your truth. Living my truth. Living who I am. And in order to make surfing my truth, I have to surf. You have to surf to be a surfer. So it's simple math, but it's hard to multiply. It's hard to divide. It's hard to get to know it. So putting those two together, me, one, in the body of the ocean, one, would equal two, surfing. But that wasn't quite the case, because I had to overcome the constructs in my mind. And I don't really know what slights or things might have been said as I walked down the beach and paddled out and kind of invested myself in to the group of surfers waiting for waves. Um, I don't know, but I know that it's challenging for me just to get past the crash zone, which is where the waves crash, because there's a lull area before you get out to where the waves are crashing, and really I want to get out past that. And so it's a challenge, and it's great metaphor for what I was doing that day. Every time I went out, every time I do go out surfing, it's breaking through that and continuing to paddle, because it starts to burn doing that. And that's a majority for me of the workout. It's kind of like jogging with your arms. And then when you're trying to catch a wave, you accelerate, you give yourself some momentum. So then I'm kind of trying to sprint a little bit and ride that wave. And so living who I am in that moment, it makes me very present when I get out on the water. It makes me very connected to nature and to existence, because I have to be there. I can't be back on the shore. My head can't be there, because I got to keep my eyes, I got to keep all my gears in line with where I'm at that moment, because I am no longer on solid ground. I'm not in the same universe that I just left, that I live in, that I sleep in, that I rest in, that I know. Here I can't. My visibility is low. My sense of smell doesn't really matter because it's obsolete in the water. And my life blood is oxygen without water in it. So everything out there, it seems like, is against me. And then to bring that to a social level, it makes things a lot harder mentally to keep your head in the game. And I know with the surgeries and the broken leg and the car accidents, and just different other medical things, I know I have a high tolerance for pain. But once again, that emotional pain is so triggered and invested in my body. My body is triggered by it. And so in those insecurities, I'm paddling out with my heart on my sleeve, because I don't get to hide that. I don't get to hide my skin. I don't get that luxury. So you see my truth. I have to live my truth. I wake up with my truth every day. I remember living with some good buddies of mine, but when I told them I'm reminded that I'm black every day, they were like, no, like that's not how life is these days. And it's just a conversation you just can't. It's like trying to explain God to someone if you believe in God. That's what the belief factor is. I can't really explain to you belief. Like, yeah, I can't see it, but I've seen it. I've seen the coincidences. I've seen the signs. In certain instances, I feel like I've experienced God. The dreams and the vision, whatever, the white light moment. But living who I am and being a surfer, I never saw that before. I didn't. It's not like I saw that, but I believed in it. And so that's what kept me paddling out, even when it hurt. And I got frustrated and I'd fall off my board and I'm embarrassed and I'm fat and this wetsuit's too tight, and I take it off and now my nipples are all cut up from the board and the sand. It's hard. And then you got to deal with personalities and egos, and there's a culture out there on the water. And that culture, there's subcultures on the water. And so there's people that have been there all day waiting for a good set. And right when you get to the beach, it always seems like when I get to the beach, the sets roll in. I ain't mad at it, but I take it as a good omen. But people that have been there all day waiting on some waves, they don't always let you drop in. And dropping in means letting you ride the wave, because everybody can't get on the same wave. That's dangerous. You're just asking for an accident. And life is like a wave. Life is like the surfboard. The surfboard is like my body. And the situation is like the motion of the ocean. My existence, my atmosphere, my environment is like being out on the water and the wave. It's different, if I'm on a lake, and maybe that's where I'm trying to get to. Or when we're young, we feel like we're in a river, and sometimes we don't want to go with the current. But then you become of age and you're able to make decisions, and now you're in an ocean. And you get to choose how far you swim out. You get to choose what you do out there. You get to choose if you want to be out there at all. But let me tell you something. Whether or not I'm on that surfboard, that board is going to fulfill its purpose. that board is going to surf because that's what it was designed to do. Its hope is reliant on that wave. And even if I fall off the board, which has happened many of times, I've seen my surfboard ride some of the most beautiful waves all the way to shore. I've seen that, but I wasn't on it. Now, I don't count myself as a failure because I tried. And as long as I keep going back to get that board and paddling out, despite what people think or saying, or whether or not they let me in line to ride a wave or two, or at least try, I'm gonna try. Because I made it all the way. I drove all the way down to the beach. So that's the thing with me, is like, this is life. And I'm gonna try to ride the wave. I have the board, I have the means, I have the time. I want to experience, why do you guys get out there? Why do you do it? And I think it's Jason Silva on the Ben Greenfield podcast was talking about how surfers are the happiest people in the world because they have found their flow. Finding that flow state. It's almost, I relate that to post pre-fatigue. After you have pre-fatigue in a run, when you break that 5-minute mark and you start feeling good running, and a lot of people won't let themselves get to that point, but I love it. When you feel good running, that's when you're in that beta flow. You're just kind of, you can zone out, you can do it naturally, it's very rhythmic, and you're not thinking too much about the run. You're able to really kind of meditate or think about what you want or listen to a podcast or two. So just being speaks volumes. It implicates ideas and it plays with the psyche. So me just being a green-eyed, beautiful black man and at the beach, on the water, out on the ocean, waiting for waves, surfing, investing myself, rubbing shoulders with people that don't look like me, that don't necessarily sound like me. Yeah, I do. And they don't do the things I do, but we do. However, because of my story, because of my skin, because of the implication, it plays with the psyche. It implicates an idea that I'm either different from my race and I'm assimilated to yours, that I've abandoned my culture. No, I'm bringing my culture to the water. I'm bringing the water my culture. I'm offering my life as a living sacrifice, a gift to life. I am not letting the confines, the human constructions of social sanctions and norms confine me to the shoreline. There's something innately in me that is drawn to water. I have grown up in it in the Virgin Islands. So when I paddle out, it's not even about you. I love you and I'm grateful you're here. But I'm even sure like there's probably women that can relate to being female surfers. And just, true colors come out when you're out on the water, when you don't think anyone else is out there, when no one else is looking. But for a lot of times, I will say people have been very, very nice and very welcoming. And that was something that I had to learn, is that the world is not always out to get me. I can tell myself that over and over, and really facing the fear, facing the anxiety, the social anxiety, and doing what I want to, at least trying what looks cool and feels cool. And I hear there's a spiritual experience that happens that's entangled in it. Getting out there, it's really stimulating. It really adds some spice, some flavor to this life of mine. And so if you're in California and you've never surfed, I recommend it. I definitely recommend, doing it with a professional or certified instructor of some sort. But usually if somebody's got a board, they're usually friendly enough if they're letting you borrow it to help you learn. And you don't have to catch big waves. It's all about that white water at first, the little splash zone, the little tide pools, just riding them little baby waves in. And it's funny to humble myself and start there, because I want to be out there with the guys that are old as me, that look like me, that talk like me. But sometimes you can't just start there, but you got to start somewhere. If you want this thing, if you really want this thing, then you got to start somewhere. And I'm not going to be defined by my race. I'm not going to be defined by my sexual orientation. I'm not going to be defined by my mental illness. I'm going to start somewhere. And yeah, it's uncomfortable and it hurts a little bit and it burns and I'm scared. But if I don't ever try, then I'll never learn what feeling good, what accomplishing, what overcoming actually is. I'll never know what the fruit of that spirit of victory actually does as far as nourishment to my soul. You know, the rhetorical sake it's persuasive. It's the message is contrived. The story is purpose. That's what the rhetorical sake means in a vernacular sense. It's the vocational podcast, the importance of doing epic things in ordinary life. And a good take on why this is important is the movie Blind Spotting with David Diggs. A phenomenal movie. Great social commentary. Artistically potent. Well done. I honestly, a round of applause. Multiple. But to be presumed at first sight a threat, that's what I go into the water with. A presumption that I'm going to threaten your establishment. And that I could, and I have let it dampen my spirit. I have let it, try to stomp out the light inside of me.
I'm not sure about that.
Not really sure why my Echo Dot is talking, but it is what it is. So,
Sorry, I don't know that one.
yeah, I just said the word ECHO. They don't know that one. In any case, the board, the surfboard, it's my vessel. That's my ship. That's my body. I can angle it, position it, move it, give it a push, but in order for the surfboard to fulfill its purpose, it needs a wave. Its whole essence, its hope, is reliant upon the current, the motion of the ocean. And the funny part is the surfboard can surf without me. The board is going to surf when it meets water, and that is going to happen with or without me. I'm the one that changes its dynamic. I'm the one that's got to set this board, that's got to get this body right. I'm the one that's got to angle my endeavors. I'm the one that's got to position my potential. I can't put that on anyone else. And I know it's tight in here, and I know it's hot out there, and I know we ain't been out that deep before. We ain't been that far, and it takes a lot more effort to paddle out. But I think it's worth it. I think the experience when I ride back in, even if it's on my stomach, that I did it, that I tried, that emptiness that you feel when you walk back in from surfing, it's like after swimming all day, and that salt and that sand all over you, that gunk and grind. There's a sense, there's an endorphin release, there's something that happens. And I think it's a very viable and sustainable spiritual investment. And I think that the return on the investment is well worth it. So being a black surfer, it comes with challenges, but so does life. And it doesn't really matter if you're black or brown, if you're surfing or you're fishing or you're rowing. Do what you feel innately you're called to do, because no one else can do it like you. I may not be a social media influencer, but I am an influencer. We all are. I influenced the surfers, the other beachgoers when I get out there. I influence my soul, my family, my friends, those around me when I get out there. We are all influencers. Each one of us has a platform. It could be a surfboard, it could be Facebook, it could be Instagram, it could be Twitter, and the like. If I leave you with one thing in the realm of rhetoric, it's that each of us has the ability to move and sway the opinion. We live in worlds not of black and white, but rather of gray. However, actions are primarily motivated towards either darkness or light. What they want to disempower and what they want you not to know is that your consciousness is priceless. It is the most powerful commodity to ever exist. No one can duplicate it. They can try and imitate it, and they won't understand you, and they don't get it. But it's okay to be outnumbered. It's okay to be the minority, even when you're used to being the majority. Even when they say you're the majority and you end up the minority, that's okay. Live your truth. Sometimes you gotta wear your heart on your sleeve because you don't have no choice. But that doesn't mean you have to let it be vulnerable. That doesn't mean you can't thicken up that skin. That doesn't mean your sleeve can't be wrapped in the titanium of faith. There's a moment when we go from good to great. And I think that moment can happen at any time. Greatness, it's not so far off. Greatness is in every decision that we make, in everything that we eat, in the breaths that we take, in the words that we speak, in the investments that we make, in the time that we take. I've experienced greatness as a black surfer, and not because I'm good at surfing, but because I tried, because I was there. God has certainly blessed me. That's beyond a shadow of a doubt. But there's just certain things that blessings don't always fill. There's certain holes, there's gaps, things, commodities. They just don't touch experience, memories. They pale in comparison. And when that experience lends itself to build another, now that right there, that's a phenomenal force. That's an ocean of potential. And I think if we angle this board the right direction, I think if we position ourselves and paddle out just a little bit further, we can ride some waves unlike any we've seen before. Better than we've ever surfed before. And most importantly, together. It's your boy, E.R. Hunter, a.k.a. the Gold Surfer. Surf, black boy, surf. Surf on, black boy, with your nappy hair and your green eyes. Your brown skin tucked away, hidden under that black, fake skin. As you sit upon your piece of wood and float adrift above the deep blue sea, above some eyes that breathe the deep blue sea. There is life out there, but there's life in you. They smelled you coming. They knew you were coming. And we are the descendants of prostitutes. We are the descendants of the wretched. We are those who were stolen away from our homes. We are those who know not of our motherland. We are those that wish to join you in your surf. So surf, black boy, surf. Be well. Au revoir. I really don't know why I wanted to talk about my experience surfing as a man of color, but it's been on my heart for a couple of days. And if it's been on my heart, then it may have been on yours, or something like it. If you're struggling with overcoming and achieving or social anxiety, don't. It's not worth it. Your time is better well spent enjoying yourself, living life, and smiling. So whatever it is that makes you laugh and makes you giggle and leaves you with just a sense of joy when you lay your head down at night, do that. And sometimes that is a little unfamiliar. I love you guys. www.erhunter.live. That's www.erhunter.live. And up next, I'm going to give you a little preview of what we got in store for you on the next Keeping It Real on the Rhetorical Sake.
So that's kind of like, it's called tempo work is one name for it. The eccentric contraction is what you're thinking of, which is that downward portion as you're lifting, because this is the concentric if we're curling, and the eccentric.
Okay.
And so the eccentric portion is actually where you tear and build more muscle. So it's far more valuable to get the second half of the movement than the first half.
And that's where you want your muscles to be if you're like to the point where they need to repair themselves or something?
Yeah. I mean, anytime